All right, guys, we have a last-second guest here. The winner of Best Ball Mania 1, a fellow 727 St. Pete-ite, Justin HERZIG. We're going to get to the terms of a bet today. Justin and I, fresh off a debate on front of the table, Pat Crane, going to get to this. And then we're going to draft a Best Ball Mania 4. Let's get All right, as I said, for those who don't know, because I have not been streaming in a while, my name is Liam Murphy. I won Best Ball Mania 2 along with 2 other NFL Best Ball contests. We have Justin HERZIG, lives in the same city as me. We had a debate yesterday. We're getting to the terms of a bet today. He hit me up furious, said, how dare you disrespect me on stream, disagreeing with something I said. Justin, how you doing today, man?
Sup. Doing well. Yeah, the people enjoyed the banter. We had to share the draft room with 2 other $1 million. I don't know 2 other because I'm not part of the other. So 2 other besides you, $1 million plus best ball winners. Those 2022 people. Oof. But no, it was fun. It was fun. The draft room was fun. The final draft was not that great. And I think later on, Pat kind of nailed it where he was like, it's difficult because when you got, usually you're drafting by yourself and you're thinking like, okay, I'm going to draft this player now because later on I'm going to line this up and I'll draft these 2. But when you got 4 people all doing that exact same thing and rarely in the same way, you end up getting a bit of a kind of Frankenstein draft room.
Yeah, it wasn't my favorite draft, mostly because you steered for 90%. No, I'm just kidding with you. But let me share my screen here. Justin is in a high stakes wager with Dan Zach for their best ball teams here. Let me make sure I can do the best one here. Justin, could you talk us through your bet with Dan, and then me and Justin, we're not going to wager 50K on this. We're going to keep it more friendly, maybe 5, maybe 10, something similar. So talk us through it, Justin.
Yeah, and so Dan Zach, great guy, won the World Series of Poker Player of the Year last year. Liam, you've had him on your pods, I think, twice right now, and he's actually going to be on the Best Ball Boardroom on the ETR channel tomorrow. So I'm bringing him on, and we'll talk through this too. But at a high level, the origin is you started seeing like over COVID, a bunch of in the poker world, like heads up for rolls, just 2 people kind of wanting to kind of, hey, test their skills, get some competition, put a little money behind where their mouth is. And you saw a bunch of the heads up action. I think just in general was really good for that industry. It creates excitement. And you have in the poker world, just so much of these kind of side action beyond just the main tournaments, whether it's getting shares of each other, whether it's making side bets on who lasts longer, all of that. And I thought it'd be really crazy, really cool if we started bringing some of that to the best ball space. And so I put out a random tweet and I was like, hey, I want to kind of think through like what's the right structure for a head-to-head bet, because it's not very just simple to be like, okay, is it advance rate? Is it whoever makes the most money? Because there's pros and cons to all of that. So I started off as more of just kind of a discussion point. And then Dan Zach reached out and he's like, hey, I love what you were talking about. I'm interested. Would you want to do a high stakes bet? And so we came to the number of 50K. And after a few different iterations, getting some feedback from some really sharp people in the industry, the format that we ended up going with is, as much as possible, trying to align it to the incentives of the Best Ball Mania, meaning we don't want either of us to change the way we are drafting just for the bet. And so one example is the way that we initially had it. It was going to be a third is to advance rate, which is what it is now. And the other 2/3 were just going to be whoever makes the most money. But what we realized is that, or I don't know, I was thinking about drafting and I realized that really means optimizing for week 16, because if either of us make it to week 17, it doesn't matter if we win the 3 million or you kind of min cash, because the chance of making it to week 17 is less than 10% if you max enter. Most likely only one of us would make it there. So we didn't want that to be. So then we changed it to making it more proportional with the 2/3. So now it's based off winnings divided by your number of eligible entries. So if I end up cashing a lot and he cashes a good amount, it's not like I take it all. There's a proportional aspect there that we end up divvying up that other 2/3.
Okay, so it's no longer what is on the sheet here with the advanced.
No, that is correct. The sheet is correct.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't plan on changing how I draft at all. I'm going to try to win the contest. Historically, I've not been someone who's done great on advance rates. I think that's because I take big player stands. But some years I'm going to destroy advance rates, right? Because, if you have a big player stand on Josh Jacobs, you're going to advance a lot. So we're thinking, we'll say 5K right now. Maybe we'll change it later. So what's that number look for us like?
Yeah, so 5K divide by 5K. It's not an easy one, but it ends up becoming like 1667 for the first part, and whatever the rest is.
And why don't you want to include your stream draft? Is that because you're worried that Dan Zach's going to enter the streams and tank your?
No, it's just when I'm doing the stream drafts, I'm trying as much as possible to kind of listen to my guest. And so really it's more of my guest drafting than me. And so it's not really truly mine. And that ties with that my advance rate for my stream drafts last year was, I think, 3 or 4%. It was atrocious. And I mean, hey, you saw what happened on our multi-stream draft just yesterday. So I just think it's more pure to, just not include those. And I think it's a little more fair to me as well.
Yeah, you're going to be probably the only guest for a Best Ball Mania 4 stream, because last year I maybe had, I don't know, around 20 guest streams for BBM4s. And this year I'm going to have guests on, but I don't feel like giving out my BBM4 EV. And so that's why it's going to be me streaming. Yes, the draft rooms are different, but I don't care. I stream some teams early. I like them. So we're going to include my streamed drafts for this. And, I just plan on winning the 3 mil. So you let me know how and why you want to send me that 5K at the end. And why are you looking to do a lot of this? Adding a bit of a cash game element, if you would. Is it because you think you have a skill edge for, obviously tournaments, the median outcome is that you lose money in tournaments, right? Even if you're a plus EV drafter. But are you trying to smooth out some variance? Or are you just trying to add some extra sweats for fun? I met some dudes in Vegas who, in the 555 draft rooms, I think they have like a 5K, just every single 555 draft that they're all in together is also a 5K cash game for them, basically, where it's like whoever, if either of them advance, they send the other 5K between the months of that. So like they're adding a cash game. And I talked to one guy and he was basically drafting poorly for the tournament because of that, which I thought was dumb. But
so real quick, I just want to say, so you're not doing it behind the screens, do not enter a BBM yet. I'll explain why in a minute or two, but just don't enter one. And to answer your question, I think a lot of it, like the initial one, is I've been doing best ball for ETR now for 2.5 years or something like that, almost 3 years. And a lot of the early questions were like, hey, why are you doing this? Why are you willing to do it? Why are you are you actually being honest? Are you really giving your advice? Like, aren't you going to hold some of these things to yourself for your own strategy? And for me, early on, it was, I am very passionate about this game and I want to do everything possible to help grow this game. And I don't know, maybe I had 1% of the actual reasons for why this game has grown. I don't know, but this game has phenomenally grown. And I think this is another way that helps hopefully this grow. Why I mentioned not doing a BBM is because we both just are in a 555 that just started now.
Oh, I'm gonna multitask it. I'm a man of the people.
Okay.
I am able to
You don't want to make this a
stream it.
5-5-5 stream?
But you are right. We're gonna change the draft to a DraftKings high stakes. I'm gonna show you guys how I outdraft. Not only am I gonna take Justin's 5K, I am also going to take a milli from Justin's hands after I draft the winner right here. So we'll change the title, guys. We're not doing BBM4. Maybe I'll do it right after this. Thank you for telling me about that. I was getting my phone blown up. Officially, the first streamed 555 draft on the channel, maybe all season by anyone. Dude, I'm running so hot on the back end picks.
I've done one already. I got to throw it out there. I've already done one, but we'll give you the second one of the summer if you want.
Well, debatable. No, I'm kidding. I almost all of my draft slots are pick 9 through 12. So, gonna need some players from there to pop off. It doesn't feel great being light on Cooper Kupp, Chase, Jefferson, and gang, but yeah. So for those who don't know, I'm the reigning champion in this room, Justin, just so you know as well. This is the 555 draft on DraftKings. It is $1 million to first. We finally have a draft room on DraftKings, which is awesome. In this room, I'll tell you a couple names. Brandon Adams, he runs a podcast in the gambling space. I know him. He's a friend of Peter Jennings. I met him in Vegas. Capital, I'm assuming, is King Cap, who won the regular season, was on the stream with us yesterday. Justin Herzig is Justin. Pepper Prince is Dan Zach. Grinders Cal is Cal Spears. Did he start Roto Grinders?
Yep, he's one of the co-founders, him and Cam.
LP Murphy is me. I have a picture of the surface of the sun because I am a sun runner. J List 21, not a big name in the fantasy industry, but I did notice last year he crushed advance rates in the 555. He had a real good season. He was real sour when I won, and then I hit him with kindness, and he turned around. I think he hit me with a "you got lucky," blah 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 blah. And then I was like, "Hey man, I thought you had a good season. Don't cry at me because of variance." Hoosier alum, I don't know who that is. I think he's a DFS guy. And so we're off. Justin, RB Boomer Bro here, starting with McCaffrey at the 104. Again, I'm in the 112 here. I might make my picks on the Jerry saying you guys end up in pretty much every 555 room together. Yes, that is correct. Almost every room has me, Dan, Justin, Tanner Tolbert, Peter Jennings, Brandon Adams. Brandon Adams, actually, I think I convinced to fire. He was not going to fire. And then he talked to me in Vegas. And so doing myself no favors, inviting more sharps. But Justin, I guess we'll close terms on the bet at the end here. You can see Justin is in serious mode now. And this is nice. This is nice, guys.
This will be fun.
Let's tweet this out, Justin. Let's get some.
Oh, I literally had a tweet that I was working on.
Okay, you do that. I'll retweet this.
Oh, you do it too. I was just going to reply to mine. We'll each your own because I was just going to reply to the tweet that I put out earlier.
I will change the thumbnail and title of this and just use it for an underdog draft later. Okay. So it's coming to me here. I don't hate the 112, honestly, especially because it's an easy spot to draft from, You don't have to worry about people sniping you. You don't have, you just kind of let it be what it is. All right.
I'll jump in. I very much like pick 12 in this format. I very much dislike 9 and 10. 11 is okay. But yeah, I think 12 on DK is a really strong draft pick this year.
We went with the Sun God, of course, won me Best Ball Mania 2, and Garrett Wilson, which if you guys look up the DraftKings touchdown props, he is near the top of the league for touchdowns at 8.5. expected touchdowns on the year that you can bet with Vegas. If we pull up NFL beat writers, NFL beat writers put out a tweet the other day pulling this for us. A great follow on Twitter. If you don't follow, they retweet camp news and whatnot.
What is King Cap's Twitter?
King Capital. I don't know. I just followed him yesterday.
The Twitter algorithm at searching is so horrible.
I know.
If I put at, you should only be showing me people that I'm at least like to prioritize the ones that I'm following.
Go look at Pat's tweet. That will help you with it. I'll look it up in a second here. So you can see touchdown props. Chase, a commanding favorite at 10.5. Then Kupp at 9.5. Garrett Wilson, Adams, and Diggs are all tied at 8.5. Jefferson also tied with them. I'm notably a Chase over Jefferson gang. I do have some Jefferson shares, though, of course. Don't want to have none of him. Gabe Davis at 6.5. The Sun God got a slide all the way down here to 5.5. So, notable. I wouldn't say this is the end-all, be-all, but nice to look at. And, I think it's notable for some of the high-cost guys. Jerry Fish got it for you here, Justin, at King Capital.
Yeah, I got it. Thanks.
Chris is asking, what's the highest stake fantasy draft you've entered? I'm not entered any crazy 50K or anything like that. I am debating selling action or getting staked for the 50K that DraftKings is entering. I don't know if Justin, did you see that, what they're offering there?
Yeah, I'm in talks right now about it. Only paying top 2 isn't really the best. There's no rake, which is nice.
There are some hashtag fish, in my opinion, in there already.
Yeah, I mean, there are some sharp people who have not best ballers. I will say that. I'm on the clock right now. Probably going to go double RB start. Let's go with JT. Yeah, so JBC. I actually searched his Twitter the other day for best ball to see if he had tweeted or if he was a best ball player. The only thing that came up is it said Rory is the best ball striker out there.
Well, I think I saw him tweet out, not a best ball guy, but for 50K, I'm in.
He put that.
That makes me want to be in there.
Whistles Go Woo is in there as well. Again, one of the top DFS football players out there.
Yeah, but
definitely not a big best ball player. Two Gun, we see Two Gun a bunch in the lobby. Sharp guy. Did draft Cooper Kupp #1 overall during a 5.55, but overall, definitely a sharp guy.
Yeah, and I said this last year, but a funny thing about these 5.55s is it pretty much is a lot of the same people entering, and a lot of people do have player takes to some degree. And I said this last year, and I'll say the same thing this year, is it's not impossible you see the finals filled with 4 or 5 teams from the same person, because I think I'm right, Justin thinks he's right, Dan thinks he's right. Now, the results, which we should always be results oriented. The results last year,
we should be process oriented.
No. Showed overwhelmingly I was right. But not only did I win the 5.55, but also the 2K. Now, I mean, the 2K is a 72-person contest, but at the same time, did win.
Real question. What was the overlay on those 2 contests last year?
The 2K did not overlay.
Okay.
I don't believe. The 5.55, I could look back for the overlay, but it overlaid significantly.
Yeah, but I don't think that's going to happen this year.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know, but you can see here, this dude Vasa's auto drafting.
He's going to put 150 in.
The rake is covered by the auto drafters to some degree, and George Kittle going in the 306 to
an elite tight end, to a bully tight end.
Mahomes Kelsey team. This is one of my first ones with the DraftKings draft board. Travis asking me, do you think it's necessary to max out tourneys to have a chance at winning? Absolutely not, Travis. I think if you're going to shot take a high stakes draft, I do not want you to shot take in this one if you're following this channel, because I assume you're sharp. But the 555 is a great contest to shot take in because the final size is not super big. It's 29 people. You, me, anyone can get lucky and or draft well and get to the finals. And then all you need to do is beat 29 teams. Whereas some of the underdog high stakes stuff, I think, is a little bit more inhibitive if you don't. All right, so we're going to take Calvin Ridley here.
Yep.
And then debating what I'm going to do with my other pick.
Yeah, I was going to say, while you're thinking about that, I can give it to, I mean, the person who got second place in the BBM last year did it with one entry. So, like, you are definitely live with fewer entries. Now, I think someone who only has one entry is probably not like at least if someone has one entry in the BBM, they're probably not a real, best ball player. They probably just did one off. But if you only have one in a high stakes one, because normally you're playing the, 10, 15, 25, whatever dollar ones, but like you feel that like, hey, you're still a decent basketball player. I think that one entry has just as much of a chance as any other one entries in that contest.
Well, this was a fun little change here. We were going to draft a BBM 4. Did not want to give Justin any percent of my $3 million, so got this 555 filled.
God, imagine if I didn't say anything and you drafted, you went into a lobby. We'd be watching you having to multi a BBM and a 555.
I call that cross drafting, and I do that actually quite a bit because I'm like doing a BBM 4 and waiting for a 555 to fill, and then it fills. And I don't have an issue doing it personally. I think you'll also notice I almost always I'm one of the quickest selectors in the 555. I almost always just like smash pick my players. You seem to sometimes auto down your clock. I don't know if you do that on purpose. I have noticed though, I'm assuming you're throwing a player in your queue, or maybe you're legitimately making a decision.
I'm almost always multi drafting, and I actually enjoy doing multi drafts on different apps, like you were saying. I find it actually more difficult to draft multiple teams on DraftKings at the same time, or even multiple underdog teams. I think it's a notification issue. I think it's easier for me to just kind of flip up and flip between the two. So usually it's more of just once I know who I'm drafting, I put in the queue, and then I go to the other app, and now I'm drafting that other one, and I'll let the time drop down for the one just because I know I'm now already focused elsewhere.
Guys, I'm going to try to zoom in for you on the DraftKings.
Give a Control-Shift-T. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, but the issue with the DraftKings board is if you try to get the whole board in and zoom out, it just resizes. So this is much better for you guys. Yeah, Jerry here pointing out, Liam tweeted out the other day, but the high stakes, especially if you're just throwing one bullet with easier advance rates, are nice ways of hedging out your other exposures. That's not exactly what I tweeted out, but what I'm saying is, like on my winning 555 team last year, there was a bunch of players I did not draft a ton of. So wow, Christian Watson at the 5-4 to Justin, pretty nice there. Like players like DJ Moore, I was down on from a regular season perspective, and Deontay Johnson and Amari Cooper, all three ended up being on my winning team. So it is a nice way to hedge out some of your picks there. So I got a Sundog, Garrett Wilson, Ridley, Gibbs. There is some cheaper Gibbs in the 555, but not that many teams.
I like the comments here. Paul saying, so like feels like it puts more pressure on the teams picking after me. That's fair. I haven't actually thought about that one. And then definitely agree with Chris that more distinct mentally and like, okay, in this underdog UI, I've got this team. In DraftKings UI, I have this team. So when I flip back and forth, my brain probably like knows, okay, this is what I'm doing here. That's a good point.
Agreed. Okay, debating what I'm going to do now. Figured out
while you're debating. Do we think
this second pick in the 112 is always it's a hard spot. It's not something I take a couple different players. Today we're going Lawrence and Lockett though.
I think you're pretty high on Ridley, right?
I am. I just, I think he could return 1-2 value. There's definitely a chance he doesn't, and he falls, but I'm betting that the Calvin Ridley that was going at the 1-2 turn a couple years ago is the one. I'm just big on the Jags passing offense.
That's what I was going to ask as a follow-up then. You're high on Ridley. Does that mean you're lower on Kirk, or are you then just high overall on
No, I'm very high
Kirk
on Kirk too. I just think the Jags have a potential. It would not shock me if the Jags reach the Super Bowl. I think they're a legit offense. I'm a little bit lower on ETN because I would rather play the Jags through the air, but I want some ETN too because I don't think he is the guy we all thought he was, like this pass catching guy, but he's still, he should score a bunch of touchdowns.
I think he's underrated by his ADP.
I think Trevor is like, it doesn't feel great taking Trevor so close to Herbert and Fields and Burrow. Like, I think I would much rather get Trevor around cheaper, but I know for a fact Dan Zach would smash Trevor because he often does it naked. He seems to snipe a lot of my teams. I don't know if he's doing that on purpose. Maybe he is. Maybe he, doing something like that. But yeah, I know in this room there's zero chance Trevor makes it back to me on the turn.
I mean, that would be pick 712. So what is that, 84? Yeah, no chance he's falling to 84. So yeah, I think if you wanted him, you got to take him there. All right, we are back up. I'm still light on wide receivers, so just got to keep kind of pumping this for a bit.
Guys, if you could hit the like and subscribe button, help motivate me to do this content. Help me out, fam. What's my username on DraftKings? I am the LP Murphy here.
All right, we're doing Pittman. We're setting up maybe, at least if I want to go with an Anthony Richardson because we grabbed Jonathan.
Thank you for your donation and just fucking with you. So yeah, we got some weird teams in here. Vasa on auto draft got the Burrow Herbert team. You always need to pay attention to auto drafters. I know I've done this a bunch where I'm not on desktop, so I don't see the draft board, and I'm absolutely buried at quarterback because Dan automatically takes 3 and the auto drafters take 4. And so like I'll end up the other day I had to draft I'm not in the habit of showing a ton of 5-5-5 teams I did, but I'll show you guys a weird one.
It's okay. I probably got them all because I was in most of them
here. No, I did a 5 quarterback team. I think it's this one.
At what point in this draft did you say I need to go 5 QB, or was it literally at the very end a 5th QB was available and was like, all right, this is the best pick?
Well, I didn't know I was going to go 5 QB, but we went Rodgers with Garrett Wilson. Actually, I have 3 of the same players here, but then we ended with our last 4 picks. We went Tannehill and Levis with Burks. And then we went Mayfield and Lance with our 8th, 19th, and 20th round pick. And we have not only Godwin, but we have Debo too. So it's like, are these guys stacks? And I want some Purdy, but I'm still, I'd be sick to my stomach if Lance smashes and I have none. And I'm like the only one taking him in the 5-5-5, so I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I had a choice, I think, this morning. I think it was 5-5. I think it was the 44 between Baker and Lance as my 3rd QB because it just got ugly and I got sniped. It's not a fun decision to make. I went Baker.
I'm going to guess you went Baker. Who'd you go to? You went Baker?
I did.
Yeah. I mean, Baker is, probably more likely to start 17 games, but obviously, there's some upside with Baker.
Highly more likely.
Yeah.
But Trey Lance could be more valuable starting 4 games, 6 games.
1,000%.
Yeah.
Okay. So we need some picks here.
This is an odd draft for me right now. We'll let you. What are you thinking right now?
I know I'm going to grab Ingram. And then we're going to put pressure on the room and take Jahan.
What do you mean by the put pressure? What is it? What's your thought process there?
Well, when a bunch of teams take wideouts, it does put on pressure on the teams that don't have wideouts.
Okay. Because like Bateman just went there to stack with Lamar. Bateman, that was pick 88, I believe, and his ADP is 105. You definitely see in these 5.55s, they're a little sharper.
Yeah, Demont. I was going to take I do like David Montgomery, but I have Gibbs, so it doesn't make any fucking sense. I mean, you can do that, but I don't like to expensive handcuff a room.
It's kind of like Zeke and Pollard, honestly, 2 years ago. Their ADPs are not that much different, except that Zeke was the early one and Pollard was the late one. But it was just too expensive in my mind. I agree.
All right, guys, let us know who you're liking right now. Who you riding with, me or Justin? Sometimes we get Pat in these. Pat's in a lot of these too. He's not in this one. Famously, he doesn't wake up before 6 p.m. And I kind of like know the style drafters. Like I know Dan likes expensive running backs. Almost every single time he has 4 running backs before round 9.
He does. And then he likes going with 4 tight ends.
And he did the same thing. I thought it was bad last year. Like he did the same thing last year. Was not impressed with it. He does some things differently. I was the only drafter last year regularly doing 4 tight end. I did it actually in a ton of my 5.55s. Seems to be way more common of a strategy now, and I don't do it as much anymore.
Wasn't he doing a bunch last year too?
No, not that I recall. I mean, more than half my portfolio was 4 tight end.
That's a lot.
Last year. Justin getting Michael Thomas. I really like Michael Thomas. I personally think he could be like Ridley. He could just be a cheaper Ridley. So we're going to take all the quarterbacks, make sure Justin is buried on them.
I know.
We're not giving Anthony Richardson back to the 10-9.
Well, we'll see. I'm between 2 guys here, but definitely need to consider a QB. I'm looking through my options. It's a little ugly. All right, Zay Flowers just went. That would have been the wide receiver that I would have grabbed because I think he's the end of a major tier.
Yeah, I mean, I like to draft Zay a lot in this range too, but I've not gotten top 5 picks in the past 10 5.55s. Literally every single one has been this range.
I think Zay will fall. I think Zay Jones will fall to you. Might be close.
Gibson, really, I mean, I have a bunch of cheap Gibson, including in the 5.55. He has jumped ahead of Brian Robinson. So now I'm getting shares of Brian Robinson, who I didn't have earlier. And I think Robinson should be ahead of Gibson in drafts. Like, I like Gibson, but I liked him because he was so we were fucking with Justin. We would never have taken Anthony Richardson here.
I mean, I still had to do it.
Yeah.
His ADP is like 105.
Vasta taking auto-drafting Burrow, Herbert, and Dak. Bryce Young goes to Miracle here. Do not know who Miracle is. That was not an auto draft. He clicked that.
Look at this QB run going.
I don't know what to say or what's going on there.
I don't love my team.
It's not about loving your team in the 9th round. It's about figuring out by the end.
I don't know. Preston going, 9th round AR. Literally, that was his ADP. That's where he's going. If you want to take him and you want to get that upside, you basically have to get him in the 9th round.
He does drop in the 10th round, some of these 5.55s, I will say. Damn. Jameson Williams goes. I would have taken him. Let's figure this out right now. I don't think we have the liberty to take Geno here. So we're going to get some of these running backs I like in this range.
Not going Zay Jones is surprising to me.
I got a strong group of 5. I like Zay, but I'm not
with the
tight on
onslaught.
him.
I mean, with Trevor Lawrence, Ingram, Calvin.
Yeah, I mean, Zay could definitely disappoint, though. Like, I like him still as a deep threat, but if Ridley, Kirk, and Ingram are still getting theirs, I think Zay is the most likely guy to get a little fall in production. I don't think Zay is a good click on DraftKings either.
Yeah, I mean, this is a juicy time for running backs. For the Gibson Robinson, I like Gibson substantially more on DraftKings. On DraftKings, I like Gibson substantially more than Robinson. On Underdog, I think it's a little closer to 50-50, and I'm happy with either. But Robinson's just not going to be catching any passes.
I don't think he is either, but it's just hard to say how much of that is due to being shot in the fucking leg. You know,
I don't think he's ever been a pass catch. I mean, pass catcher.
I read a report or two that said Brian Robinson catching passes. Gibson could smash, right? And I always have a struggle with this is like when I have a share of 13th round and 12th round Gibson, I get a little stubborn, you know?
Yeah.
We don't know what miracle we'll grab here.
Yeah, he had 52 receptions in college.
Yeah, and all of the non-pass catching RBs kind of fall on DK, but you just need a touchdown here or there.
This is pretty ugly right now.
Don't get me wrong. I would love to have Zay on this team, but I just don't think it's responsible to just roll with. I just need to get some RBs on the team.
No, and I think that's a good spot to be drafting running backs. I think Zay Jones was a consideration, but definitely not a lock from what you were building.
No, I considered him. Yeah. But, really like Charbonnet.
This is a good question about Travis. I don't consider week 17 bringbacks nearly as much as in other formats. It's still in the back of my mind. And I don't know, I'm still considering it because, hey, you do need to beat out 28 other people in that finals, but not nearly as big of a deal as other formats.
Travis, I would recommend you read my articles on the 33rd team, breaking down my winning teams, because agreed with Justin, it's not like as much as a requirement, but both my teams that won last year on DraftKings in small final fields were significantly stacked up for week 17. Because it is a little, stacking is not about reaching 100 percentile ceiling outcomes. It's about more commonly hitting 90%. If that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think what's more in play in this structure is doing full onslaughts for your team, because it is more advantageous that you don't need to hit the absolute nuts. You don't need to beat out 15 people in rounds 14. In rounds 15 and 16, you only need to beat out 5 and 6 people. But hey, I've got the Colts. Why not grab a Jacoby Myers here to be a bring back? Because that's the best wide receiver available in my mind. I don't want to grab a naked Chino.
I'm excited for training camp, man. We know so little about a lot of teams. The Raiders, I would include in that. We don't know when Jimmy's playing, how it's going to shake down between Hunter and Myers and
Vasa with his fourth QB.
Of course. I would have taken, this is the thing, in a regular room, maybe Gino makes it back to me to stack with Lockett, who I would have liked to take here too. But when someone's auto drafting, no shot.
Yeah.
Preston's being desperate for training camp news. I'm with you, brother. Oh man, tough decisions coming up with me. Got 4 players in my queue.
What's your build right now? I'm trying to say 1-3-5-1. I think that's right. Yeah. So fairly balanced with some strong wide receivers at the top of the draft for you.
All right, we're going to go Goff and Kincaid. Getting Goff past ADP feels nice in this room that is about to be feeling the quarterback squeeze. Goff to stack with St. Brown and Gibbs. Makes passing on Geno feel great. And then comfortable at stopping at 2 tight ends with Kincaid and Ingram.
Kyler going early, 12-3.
To stack with Hollywood.
Marquise Brown, yeah.
But, this is Hoosier looking around. I mean, Dan almost always does 3 QB, even with elites. And if Hoosier's paying attention, he knows that. And he knows Vasa did that. And these are 4 quarterbacks that people would feel comfortable going 2 with. So now a lot of people are not like, and I doubt even Justin's comfortable going 2 with just Richardson.
Not when I have 20 slots. On Underdog, I'm fine with going 2, and I probably would go like Richardson and then another QB right around him. But in this structure,
I still go 2 sometimes on DK, but sometimes I don't have the choice. It's like
yeah. All right, I'm fine going 3 here because it's 20. I'm going to get Derek Carr with this pick, which is the same bye week as Anthony Richardson, but it gets me a Michael Thomas stack, and we are in need of QBs, so I'm content with grabbing Derek Carr there.
Which team is Dan Zach? That would be Pepper Prince here. Yeah, and everyone feels differently about Kincaid. I personally want to have a big exposure to him. Other people pass him. I've been pushing Kincaid because I noticed I can even get him in like the 13th, 14th round sometimes in these 5.55s. I've noticed multiple times. I know Justin's down on him because I've noticed multiple times he's had Allen and passed at Kincaid after ADP.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of it is also because of how cheap Knox is. And it's so easy to get Dawson Knox.
I like Knox too.
Yeah.
For sure.
But I'm like, so if I'm building my team and I'm thinking through like my tight ends, I don't really want to have Kincaid and Knox. I think you can. But I'm also not planning for that. And so it just depends on like who else is available at that point. There's usually good running backs when Dalton's going that I'm often drafting.
So both my quarterbacks have week 9 buys. I may add a third because of that, but I don't think that's a requirement. Other people will feel differently.
All right. So normally I'd be willing to kind of risk it a little, grab Brock Purdy on the next one. But in this structure where QBs have been going with so many of them going with these auto drafts, I'm going to grab Jordan Love as my third QB a little earlier than I like. I mean, it's right at ADP. I just don't get much of it, but I have Christian Watson. So survived the QB onslaught craziness.
See, a lot of different builds are being enacted. You can see the builds at the top here, guys. Now, I will say I only streamed one of my high stakes drafts last year, the 2K, ended up winning. So chances are good for Justin or I to take this down.
It's crazy to think that there's a tournament that was 6 drafts. What was the max entry? 2, 3?
2. Yeah, I did 2.
Yeah. I still like the idea of having an in-person event where each person gets like 10 or 12 drafts or something, and that's the whole contest right there is from people that were in person. Think it could be really cool, fun, cumulative format, and that probably wouldn't be, I don't know how many entrants you could end up doing, but yeah, be cool.
We're going Algier and Hodgins.
All right. Isaiah Hodgins, you're obviously bullish on him. You think that he is a screaming value on Underdog where he's drafted 24 picks later than he is on DK.
I got him in the 18th round yesterday.
Yeah. I don't think he's in that much of a better shape than any of the other wide receivers.
He certainly could get cut, but this stretch right here, hard to get out of mine. 8,
And he looked
9,
good.
1, 8, 12, 1, 4, 5, 1, 4, 6, 1, 5, 6, 1.
Are you that excited about those touchdowns though?
We'll take touchdowns on any
3 for
format.
5. I guess that's a results not process kind of thing. But I will say, like, he actually looked
I mean,
good.
I don't know. These are the playoffs where he's getting 9 targets.
Oh, that's huge. That game was huge. I'm talking about like 3 for 4 and a touchdown, 4 for 6 and a touchdown.
But these are literally his first NFL games ever. He didn't play for the Bills. He didn't see action.
Yeah. I'm trying to say, how old is he? He's 24.
He's not a fast guy, but drafted by the Bills. Dable got him. I just think he could significantly outproduce a bunch of the wideouts in this range. Definitely could get cut too. He used to be way cheaper too, so like I don't love grabbing guys that are like that, but it's all right. So my RB room is Gibbs, Robinson, Charbonnet, Algier. It's not the most comfortable running back room in the world, but I'm okay with it. I got some running back wide receiver correlation with 3 of my 4 running backs, something I like to do. Had to teach Justin about that yesterday. Gibbs and St. Brown, Robinson and Dotson, Charbonnet and Lockett. Laporta was in consideration for me too here. Obviously having Kincaid and Ingram, just had to pass. And he is a guy who you can get past ADP. Knox goes to Capital, who has Allen to get a stack at least. He seems to be like a fill the bucket type of drafter. He's like, okay, I have my quarterback. Now I'm going to get my 3 tight ends. Now I'm going to get my running backs. Justin going Mostert. Cross-dressing asked, are you that low on Mingo that you passed up the Jax correlation? I considered it, but I'm just higher on Hodgins.
Yeah,
it's always nice to take a guy like Mingo who is a mystery box,
right?
If
If Mingo was ever on the Bills, he probably would have been the pick there. But
if Mingo had a stretch where he averaged like 15 points plus a game, that would maybe swayed me. And like Hodgins is like, what are they going to do? Throw fucking Paris Campbell on the outside? I don't think so. They're going to throw Wan'Dale Robinson on the outside? I don't think so. It is possible Waller plays on the outside.
Jalen Hyatt, I don't know, Sterling Shepard. There's just so many mouths to feed there.
Sure.
I'm not against Hodgins, but yeah. All right, let's get some correlation. A little Alex Pierce just going full on Colts here.
See, a lot of people are filled the. Oh no, this is the auto drafter.
What's that auto drafter? It looks fast. Looking like 3 tight ends there.
2 wide receivers. Tony and Tyreek. Rough.
I missed that because I'm looking right now and I'm like, all right, like, okay. He's got like 3 tight ends.
Looks good at quarterback. Looks good at running back. Got 3 tight ends. Tony and Tyreek, baby.
2 wide receivers. I mean, those could be the top 2 wide receivers in the league, to be fair.
Yeah, I will say I have seen some teams like I remember on Underdog one year there was like a team with 4 wideouts, but it was like Kupp, Debo, Mike Evans, and I don't know, someone else that was not worth mentioning.
Yeah, that was crazy. Some 4 QB team won the DK thing right last year.
Yes, that was a. That was wild.
Yeah. Now, whether or not the person would have won if the Buffalo Cincy game actually happened, I don't know, but
it's a tough spot for me.
What you thinking? Talk us through.
I would like to grab a quarterback here, but I'm probably just going to have to pass because Goff and Lawrence are going to smash. So I'm going to grab 2 running backs, and it's which 2 do I grab? take Chuba first. Get a little correlation. There's between Wilson and Ford for me, and I like both a lot. I have a lot of 20th round Ford. I was on him from literally the day the contest opened. I have a lot of him on the 555 earlier drafts too. I personally like Wilson more than Mostert. We'll go Ford this time though. Correlation with Garrett Wilson. And again, like I have this habit, which I think is just good portfolio allocation overall, to when you have exposure of a player and they get more expensive, you start to take less of them. But at the same time, you should trust your original takes to some degree. And I don't know, with the Fournette rumorings, I'm thinking it's maybe a little bit more likely Dalvin Cook goes to the Dolphins. I noticed you took Mostert 2 rounds ago.
I was actually thinking the opposite. I was thinking that with Fournette likely go to the Patriots, that's just one less dusty vet that could come into Miami. I think that's fair that, like, yeah, it takes away the chance from Dalvin going there.
Well, but I'm just saying that because Dalvin was the second. Patriots was plus 150. Miami was plus 200.
I don't pay attention to those markets from a.
Yeah, it's not like it's a liquid market.
Horrible.
But
I think it's interesting. But
talk to me about the Mostert versus Wilson thing.
Yeah, so early on in drafting, I was drafting more Wilson than Mostert because it makes sense that Mostert and A-Chain are very similar type players, explosive, and if A-Chain increases a role, Mostert's going to go down. The more I looked into it, the only time that Wilson ever had like games that you really get excited about is when he was the back all by himself. So it was purely like a volume play. And so from that stance, like he just doesn't excite me nearly as much. I am back on the clock. Could use a wide receiver here. No real.
Travis, I think any team could sign one of these dusty running backs. Cleveland, a lot of them.
Yeah, I could even go with Jeff Wilson on this team as well from a
feels real bad then when Dalvin signs.
Yeah. But then it doesn't sign, they both increase substantially in value.
So me and Brandon Adams confirmed the highest T in the room, both with 6 running backs, and the auto drafter Vasa.
I mean, Vasa has the highest T. 4 QBs, 3 tight ends, 6 running backs.
Got Campbell.
He got a 3rd wide receiver. Good on him.
I got some 20th round Campbell in the 555 streets. Not that he raised significantly.
Yeah, I only have 3 running backs right now. But that includes starting off Christian McCaffrey, Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah. One injury though, and you're to either where they miss 3 or 4 games and it's tough.
Yeah, but even if I went, like, it's always going to be tough if you have a substantial injury to a top 1st, 2nd round pick.
Yeah, but like I could, I think my team, if Gibbs misses 3 or 4 games, not more than that, I could fill in a little bit.
That's fair. That's also your 4th round pick.
True.
All right, let's grab a little. Again, I could grab Jeff Wilson here, but I'm going to get some Ty Chandler action.
Wilson free falls. Like he gets in the 19th round sometimes.
There's just no sexiness to it. Like his largest games are when he is a workhorse and like he's the only healthy back. And that's where like even last year when like Mostert was hurt, like Wilson had some good games. But with having both A-Chain and Mostert, and then obviously the chance that they sign on their back, Dalvin, it's a risky. It's a low upside, high risk bet in my mind.
Sam Howell goes. Probably would have taken him. Wilson goes.
Oh, you could always go Baker or Trey. This sounds familiar.
Yeah, I don't feel the need as much on this team.
I agree.
Oh, no. Who am I taking? Let me think.
All right. While he's thinking, Preston, I'm going to answer your question. Is there sexiness in Ty Chandler? Oh, yes, there is. First off, his we have no reason to believe his ability from a combine was very substantial. Like, he has explosiveness. The coaching staff has talked him up as needing to step up this year. So I think it's very unlikely that the Vikings end up signing a veteran. And if you look at Madison, his actually from an efficiency has declined over the past few years. And who's to say that he's able to handle an entire year of workload? So I think there is a decent amount of sexiness in Ty Chandler.
Just got my first share of CEH in any
time to get it
in any contest. Yeah, he should rise a little bit. I mean, Pacheco was at practice today. But
you were touting yesterday that you have 0 Pacheco because you thought there was too much risk. How are you then not taking a whole bunch of CEH?
Yeah, it's just like I play it through McKinnon, play it through Deneric Prince.
Do you have those guys a bunch?
I have McKinnon before he got more expensive. The thing about like Pacheco used to go ahead of Cam Akers, which I thought was like insane, and I just had a lot of Cam Akers back. Like Cam Akers goes in the 5th now. It used to be like Pacheco in this range ahead of like James Conner and gang, and then Cam Akers would be like the back of the 8th. I went Mayer too, which I don't need another tight end, but I still think there's some upside in Mayer. Potentially. Like if Jimmy is starting there, he's going to throw the ball to the tight end. Yeah, his routes overlap with Renfro and Myers maybe, but I don't know. He was a guy a lot of people like too, and he just ran a little bit slower in his 40. It's like he could totally be like a Dalton Schultz dude, where it's like he's not sexy, but he's getting the targets.
I was going to say he could be a sexy Dalton Schultz.
Yeah, you could be a better.
The entire Notre Dame offense ran through him like he was a beast there for that final year. The only reason I don't love it is because of Austin Hooper, and in general, it takes year one tight ends a little more time to develop. But from an upside bet, he's got more upside than probably any other tight end. I don't know. Probably Dalton Kincaid is actually higher just because of the craziness and the range of outcomes. But like, no, I think Mayer's a great pick.
Yeah, he's a guy who frequently falls late in DK, and I've just kind of been taking him
too. Yeah, underdog. He's like 18th rounder.
Let's see. Justin drafted retired Kareem Hunt, and I mean, he was just rough last year, man.
He was. What I do like about him is that he's decent in pass pro. And he is someone who can catch the ball. He doesn't have explosiveness, but that tells me that, like, hey, a coach may want to have that in their backfield. So, like, I like Leonard Fournette a lot more as a pick back even before the New England stuff. I don't have that much Kareem Hunt, but I kind of wanted a 5th running back just in case. And I don't need another QB. I've got Mark Andrews and Kyle Pitts, so I don't need another tight end, and I don't really want to have 11 wide receivers. So
I think all of that's fair.
Yeah, Z-Misk, getting the whole Colts. The Colts are one of those teams where if I'm drafting Anthony Richardson, I'm really happy to just target as many Colts as possible, because I think they're one of the ones where if he is even league average at throwing, then all of these players are substantial values. So that's where it's a bet on Anthony Richardson, and then everyone else is a correlated bet to go with it.
We ended with 2 wideouts here. Terrace Marshall adding to that Jags Panther stack, and Corey Davis. And I think it's, I don't know how it's going to sort out in Carolina, but not impossible. Marshall is actually in 2 wide receiver sets, 3 wide receiver sets. Corey Davis adds a little bit to my Jets correlation, Cleveland correlation.
So you didn't grab another QB?
I did not. We're walking the 0 week 9.
Bye week bros are going to be at you.
Yeah, I think it's especially okay in this room when Vasa grabbed 4, and like some of the teams. Let's look at some of these teams that are getting quarterback points on me week 9.
I was just saying in general, look who got kind of screwed by the QB run.
Yeah, let's try to look at that. Who did? Let's see. The Tua drafter maybe did, depending how Purdy sorts out. Dan, of course, finishing with 3 quarterbacks. I debated taking Sam Howell here. I like him.
Hindsight, that might have been I think that was probably the play.
Let's see. Maybe you could argue Brandon Adams did a room of Rodgers, Tannehill, Jones. Like, I'm not really worried about the
rough. And he overspent on Tannehill and Jones. Ooh, I got one more pick.
The Field Stafford room is just a little thin. I draft the 3 guys you drafted in Richardson, Carr, and Love, but totally possible all 3 disappoint.
Yeah, I agree.
Let's see. The Jones-Wilson guy, pretty thin there, depending how you feel about Wilson. Don't know why Hoosier went 3 QB, but it's fine. Depending how Watson does, maybe Cal got screwed with Stroud and Lance.
Who were the others with Cal? Watson?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean Watson and Stroud is not a great combo there. I agree with you though. Brandon Adams, he's the one that I would say probably where he had to fight for overspend on Tannehill and Mac. That's tough.
And what's nice is me and Brandon's teams are pretty similarly invested in, where it's like both of us invested in high-end wideouts, then, one anchor running back, a high-end tight end. So it's like maybe we are producing similarly.
Yeah, same.
And then hopefully
I'm team 11.
Hopefully I'm gaining a little bit more at quarterback on him. Because Goff to me is one of the last guys I would end with 2, with a Lawrence type.
Especially on DK.
Yeah, so. And we just took the extra dart at, running back. So we went, we wouldn't have had CEH or Mayer or, I honestly don't think I needed to do any position with my last picks.
Yeah, that you called it though. The Howell over Ford or the Howell over CEH.
No. It would have been over Hubbard or Ford.
Yeah,
and you noticed he would have fallen back to me if.
That's true. So there's actually other QBs you could have gone there, like CJ Stroud, Jimmy. Yeah. So
no, it was between Stroud, Jimmy, Tannehill, Jones, Howell, and I'm down on 3 of those dudes. So it was Stroud or Howell, and I think in a normal room that Dan's not in, Howell makes it back to me quite a bit because this guy probably takes him. I don't know. Yeah. But the Lamar guy shouldn't really. Maybe the Watson guy does too. Who knows? But he just took Stroud. I don't know. So, all right, guys, let us know which 555 you like right here. We got Justin, who ended up with a 3692, and I ended up with a 2783. My team, real quick to read it off: Sun God, Garrett Wilson, Calvin Ridley, Gibbs, Lawrence, Lockett, Ingram, Dotson, Brian Robinson, Charbonnet, Goff, Kincaid, Algier, Hodgins, Hubbard, Ford, CEH, Mayer, Marshall, Davis. Justin, give us a read down.
Yeah, so I've got QBs, Anthony Richardson, Derek Carr, Jordan Love, running backs, top 2, CJ Taylor, and then we got Mostert. We got, it's so hard to read this, Mostert, Shai Chandler, Kareem Hunt, Josh Kelly. At wide receivers, we got Terry McLaurin, Christian Watson, Michael Pittman, Michael Thomas, Rondale Moore, Jacoby Myers, Alex Pierce, Khalil Shakir, and Josh Downs. Lots of correlation. And the reason why my team doesn't feel great, but it's just hard to value, is I've got both Mark Andrews and Kyle Pitts. So I'm going to be feeling really good in the tight end position. And a lot of times those guys will be in my flex too. I don't think it's really hard to ever leave a room feeling good about your team if you spend up on 2 tight ends. But if I'm going to do it, Kyle Pitts falling is the way to do it.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. Rank your team versus position strength relative to the field. Not just
I'm going to give myself an A- at running back. Just having CMC and JT is just puts you in another hemisphere. Wide receivers, I'm going to go with a B because I didn't get that many early on, but I'm very highly correlated with my QBs. So it's one of those that, hey, if it works, it works. Similarly, I'll go with a B at quarterback. Heavily dependent on Anthony Richardson with a little, I'd say, help at Derek Carr and Jordan Love. And then tight ends, I'm going to go with an A.
Yeah, I think my team, like in order, like wide receiver is close to, the first three I'd take against any first three in any round. Obviously Jefferson, Higgins, Smith I like a little bit more, but close to an A minus, A. I don't know, close to the elite category. Running back, I got a lot of them. I like the upside on some of them. Obviously, the high end's a little slacking, so I don't really know. Middling to weak, but plenty of upside if things break for particularly Gibbs, Robinson, Charbonnet, and then depending how much playing time Algier, Ford, and CH get. Tight end, very strong. Not too invested in, but I like the weekly upside of Ingram, Kincaid, and Mayer. Mayer maybe more late in the season. Quarterback, it's either bad or good, I think Lawrence and Goff are good enough to give me a nice 20-point floor with some bigger spike weeks. Obviously week 9 I'm eating to 0, but yeah, not my favorite team, not my worst team. In the 12 hole, I do think it pays to get a little bit weird with structure or just the back end. But all right, guys, that's it for the draft stream today. Justin, do we have the details hammered down on the bet, or do we need to revisit that before we end this?
I think we're good. We're just going to do 5,000. Make it a fun but friendly amount.
And then
we'll do the exact
1/3 is advance rate, and 2/3 is
proportional ROI. Yeah. So if the details kind of explains it in that image. If you want, we can talk about it offline, but just explain a little more. And then the only other difference is you're going to be it's same as Dan Zach. You're going to use all of yours. And then I'll just be using all of mine except for the stream ones. So it'll just be the same ones that I'm using for the Dan Zach. And I've also got another poker player.
How many teams do you think that's going to be?
At least 100.
I do personally think the less teams you do is a little bit more advantageous because, again, the median outcome of a team is that it loses money. But obviously, you don't have as many shots at the high end as well.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying there?
Yeah, I see both sides of it. But at the end of the day, it's probably going to be about 120 because I think I'm going to end up with about 30 streams. So
okay, close enough.
Yeah, it has to be 100. If I don't hit 100, there is a default clause that I have to pay out in there that I think was 20%. But yeah, I'll hit 100.
I'm already at 75, so it'd be tough to not reach 100. What are you at?
About 15 to 20 of non-streamed ones. So I plan to go pretty hard going forward.
You're at what, 15 to 20 in total?
Not too many.
Yeah.
700
so
plus
drafts. That's the other fun thing. I like my side on that of having some earlier draft exposures. Justin obviously is going to get more of the casual crowd in August.
I was on vacation out of the country when it went live. So those first 3 to 5 days when there were crazy ADP values and such, I got 0 teams in. So I accept that is definitely a crutch or a hurdle or a downside for me.
I auto drafted one of my teams. Am I allowed to remove that? I fell asleep drafting it.
No, because there's a chance that I've done it too. Yeah.
Okay. So guys, make sure you hit the like, hit the subscribe. You can follow Justin at Justin Herzig. Gonna rename this one obviously to a DraftKings 555 draft. Change the thumbnail. I will be back tomorrow for a BBM4 stream. I'm jumping on with Daigle and Gang at 6 p.m. I think on the 4for4 channel. Look out for Twitter for that. Justin, anything else you want to say to the people?
No. If you don't follow me on Twitter, doing 2 streams a week as well. And tomorrow I'll have Dan Zach on to talk through the bet and draft BBM.
And guys, if you could do me a big favor, when I end the stream, drop a comment in the YouTube channel like, can't believe Justin did that, or wow, Liam, put your shirt on, or really any comment you want to make. It all helps the YouTube algorithm. It all helps peak interest. Have a great day, guys.
Liam, I've got something for you. Look at this. For our pickleball.
Oh, dude, I've been itching to get back out there. I'm about to get a apartment again in St. Pete, and then I'm gonna be out there.
That's our local club right there. So
I'm looking.
We got to get you back in the course.
I played a little bit. I mean, I've played less than 7 times in my life, but played again in New Hampshire this past weekend. Had a great time. I had COVID the last time I played with you, or just beat COVID, so I was like sluggish. But all right, guys, we'll see you tomorrow. Peace out.
Later.